So, Vicky, hi.
We're so lucky to have Miss Sally Davis, aka Sally Sparkles, Sol Aquas, whatever we're going to be this week, uh, to educate us on water, her experience with water, her discoveries with water. She is a water woman of the Northern Rivers.
We're all water women.
Right. So give me a down. Oh, well, actually, you're not just water though. You've got the whole sun action going. Like you really woke me back up to the old solar flare action, you know?
Yeah,
So what
I
do you
love
want
it
to tell us
all.
today, Miss Sally? Give it.
Well, I think at the moment I'm just really having such a big, deep journey with water. So water's probably where my focus is, but it's all intertwined with solar flares and with all this light coming in. But I've just been on a real journey with water that's incredible, and it's teaching me so much. So I'm a bit. I'm in the realm of wanting to talk about water and like immerse myself in water in all the ways.
I dig it. So you're a bit choppy on my end, but the
Oh,
video's a bit choppy, but your sound's fantastic. So I'm just going to keep it going because
okay.
you're very clear on the audio. And
Okay,
you
cool bananas.
usually
Yeah.
get frozen at a really gorgeous place. Be smiling or something like that, right? So when I say, what floated your boat about water, I remember you coming here, you went to Essence, and suddenly so many, like water was definitely on your agenda. You had different
Yeah.
dimensions of self that were involved in it. You had really ancient knowledge, if you will. And it sort of
Yeah.
sent you on this journey that has inspired all around who's been connected with Miss Al. And yeah, it was like, come and fucking talk about it, girl. Share, share. So tell me, what was your impetus? Like when you got into the water, and what was that void?
So I think it was sort of during that COVID lockdown time, and I didn't have any immunization. I was really like, I couldn't work, I couldn't do anything. So I was spending a lot of time in the suburbs in a very contained house, kind of going a bit crazy. And so, very fortunately, I realized that I lived not very far away from this incredible water source, a creek called the Marram Creek. It's part of the Richmond River on Widjabul Wyable country, and they had this amazing creek that ran into this incredible waterfall. And so I just started to go there every day by myself and just put my feet in the water and just sit there because I had nothing else to do. And I'd been through a big separation of a 17-year relationship. I was a bit lost, and as you know, Vicky, I've come to you a lot about this. Just needing to sort of find myself as an older woman, I guess. And so I went in the water, and this is going to sound really strange, but I'm just going to say it. I started getting this very strong impetus to spit in the water, like when I was sitting in it. And so I would, and then I started thinking, like, wow, that's my water going in this water. And it was just this like incredible intuition that like my spit held this information that was me. It was my water. And then I was like, wow, I'm water, and my water's going into this water. Wow, maybe it's like healing it, or maybe it's healing me. And so I started to just sit with the water and received information from the water and started a dialogue with water. And now, from listening to other people speak about water, especially females, I feel like women have this dialogue with water if they listen to it. And from my learning about water and from my experience, if I'm angry or upset and I go and try and have this dialogue with water, it won't talk to me. It won't tell me anything. So if I'm like
Wow.
fearful or angry, I will go to the water and I'll say, I'm angry, I'm really mad. This is all in my mind. I don't speak, oh, you could speak out loud, and I'll say, could you heal me? Like I'm not good, I'm not right way. And I'll sit with my feet in this wild flowing water until I feel a sense of like centeredness and that void, that like neutral space. And then I'll, say thank you to the water or sing to it, because I think water really loves to be sung to and it loves us to feel grateful for it. And then it will start to talk to me. And I ask all sorts of questions. If I'm in right way, I can go to the water and ask anything and it will tell me. And the information that will come from an ocean as opposed to a wild flowing river, as opposed to a pool of water as opposed to a lake is all completely different. And I think the country that it's on and the minerals and the traditional indigenous ancestors that have sung to the water is all, it's all in there because water holds memory of everything. It has the memory of the Big Bang in it. So it comes from the cosmos and it holds every single memory in it. So it's like basically Google search on steroids. So if you want to know anything, go to the water and it will start to tell you everything you want to know about everything. Yeah.
So I noticed that you had to be in integrity to
Yeah.
experience full connection with water. And I think that that's important for a lot of these things, is that, you know, you can't go at it expecting a result or going for a result. It's like you have to be in that sacred, you know, honoring that, the thing that you're going to commune with, if you will, and self. But I love the way that you got the water to work for you. You know, I mean, that's the thing. We have everything at our fingertips. We
Yeah.
have the healing. You know, it's
Yes.
just
Yes.
employing
Yeah.
it.
We are water, and I think water inherently wants to heal itself. So it's like we want to inherently heal ourselves, and we want to heal each other because you're water and I'm water, and we want to come in right way and right relationship with ourselves and with each other. But there's a lot of other shit fuckery in the way, so in the modern world, as you know.
There is. I mean, if we look at water then as a conduit, right? It's a conduit not just for, you know, memory. It's not just a conduit for communication, right? But it's like, it's heavy. Everyone thinks water's light and sort of, you know, wishy-washy. It's the most hardcore. Like, I mean, it's right up there with fire. You know, fire change your world. Well, so the fuck is water. You know, it's not this little emotional. It's like this tour de force. And the other thing is, oh shit balls, sorry. And the other thing is, it's really reflective. You know, like you were saying that you would ask it a question. So in order for the answer, you had to be in integrity and right way. And then it would reflect to you or give you that answer that you were looking for. You know?
Yeah, I think that
So you could be the water.
No, I think we all are. But I think that reflective bit is so spot on because it's like a mirror. And from you know, these amazing water researchers like Veda Austin, who is doing these incredible works with photographing water and realizing that it's actually speaking to us, but it's mirroring. You know, she'll put a photo of her hand, but if her intention is something else, the water will not do what she wants. It will only do what the like frequency that she's putting into it. And if it's mirroring each other, I think we are all water. Like everything's water, plants, and the air's water because we're breathing vapor into it. And I think that's intuition. We're just picking up on someone else's vapor when we're walking through. And I think that everything is water, and we're just looking at each other. We're observing ourselves in different states of water. Like we're observing like a tree. Oh, that's me as water, or that's Vicky as water, and I'm Sally as water. And that's just how we're being in water in this lifetime right now. It's so fascinating. When you think about water, it's like if it has the memory of everything, like it's millions of years old from the galaxy, from the space, from the cosmos. It just came after the Big Bang, the scientists think. And if it's come to Earth as an alien, like we are also that. And it holds all of that information in it, and it never dies because when we die, we evaporate. So we go into the air. So it's like all of life and every memory. It's so mind-blowing. It's just continually circling around. I think that's what our ancient Indigenous people have always known, and our ancient DNA lineages way back have always known this, but they haven't put it into like scientific terms. It's a deep knowing that water holds everything in it. So all life is sacred because it's all stemming from this massive interconnection.
That water held consciousness, not mind.
I think so. I think water is God, actually.
To you, bitch. Yeah, right. So, I mean, you know, hence the Sally de Water de Aquas. So, I mean, the other thing that's sort of like really affecting water, or water is an effect of at the moment, simply because of its magnetics, is these solar flares.
Yeah.
So tell me
Yeah.
about your experience with the solar flares, because you are like a weather beacon for the solar flares. You know, it's like, what's going on? Ask Sal.
I know, I was like, I feel like I was like the weather girl for like what you're this
Because
is
of
what's
the
going
weather
on
chick.
today.
Love it.
So we're having an increase in solar activity, which happens around every 13 years. And they're saying this is like one of the biggest ones we'll have. It could cause a huge shift in the electronics on planet Earth when we get a really big one, which is
Please, God, make it so.
on
Goddess.
its way soon, I think. Um, so I feel like water works with light. So we're having this incredible amount of light coming from these solar flares, which I feel like is changing our waters, and sometimes that can feel a little bit uncomfortable because it can give us headaches, or it's clearing out stuff. Like a lot of people are going through a
Tell
lot
me
of
more
purging.
about changing our waters. Tell me more about that. So changing the water of the planet, changing our internal water, like what's
Yeah,
it changing, or what's it
I think all of
affecting,
it.
upgrading?
Yeah, I think it's upgrading all the water, and I think it's upgrading and helping us to become more light and more conscious. But it's not necessarily a pleasant process. It can be pretty hard sometimes because it can involve letting go of people, letting go of things, letting go of ways. I feel like sort of like the solar flares are burning it up. I'm like, let it be gone, like let it change now. That's the feeling I'm getting from the solar flares. And yeah, bit discombobulating sometimes because for me it can feel really spacey. I'm just like, whoa. Like today I felt like I was almost walking on a tilt. And I know other people who are experiencing the same thing, so I'll call them and say, you having this? They'll be like, no, not today, but I did 2 days ago. And I'm like, what is going on? It's so wild. Yeah.
Especially up here, because I think people forget we're in a caldera, which in itself is like magnetism. And it's like people always say, oh, it's the new Byron. You know, there will never be another Byron because there is never this configuration. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
town of Byron will change. It always will. But Byron itself, like where we are, no. And the place itself is so, people say magical. Yeah, it fucking is. And we are lucky enough to be here. Well, lucky, yeah, but we all work for it, let's face it. And in this, you know, everyone or a lot of people around us are working with consciousness. So it's exciting because, you know, there are discoveries being made. There are new ways of thinking, like even this whole idea of water. I saw something on the net where it probably is one of the people you sent me actually, and they put an imprint of something and froze it or something like that. And then they
Yeah.
took it out and the whole imprint was in the water, you
Yeah,
know.
that sounds like Veda Austin.
Okay. Okay. Is that a
Yeah.
girl or a boy?
She's an amazing woman who's like
Okay.
quite a pioneer in very progressive water research. And she's doing a lot of photographic images with this particular technique of freezing water. She does it for a certain amount of time. And she's just found all this information about waters talking to her through the images. And like, it's showing her things in the future. It's showing her dreams. Like she can put in, like, hold it and think about her dream, and the water will freeze images from her dreams. Like it, it knows everything. But then you think it's us. Like we know everything, and therefore, when you think about if you're freezing water and you're putting an imprint in it, and it can, if you're angry, it'll freeze differently than if you're happy. And you think about that when it's us being water. So what we say to ourselves and what we think about ourselves is so important because it's actually affecting our water body. And if we've got waterfalls and rivers and lakes within our body, we have to speak kindly to ourselves and love ourselves because we just need to be good, healthy bodies of water, I think, to improve the state of the planet at the moment.
Like Vicky. Yes, indeed.
Sometimes I think
One
about,
less
like,
monster lives in my lake. Look out, people.
You're being nice to your waterfall, Vicky. Sometimes I think about people in the city, walking in the subway down these escalators, and it's like all these vessels of water. Like we are so close to leaking. Like we cry and we leak, or we bleed, or we've got spit. We're on the edge of leaking all the time. So we know we're vessels of water, and we see all these people walk down like a subway on an escalator. It's like a waterfall of humans. When you think about humans like walking through city streets, we're not
Yeah.
separate. That we are a river moving through. So it's important we're a healthy river and not a like disconnected, unhealthy river. Because rivers, I think this is a really important thing for me about water is water really likes, sorry, it ties into that. Water really likes to move in a fluid, sort of gently curving down, rivers and streams, they gently curve. And we used to call water the waters as though they were sacred before the Romans invented plumbing. And then they created a system where water was trapped in these, circular pipes, and water's very unhappy in that structure. We know that from photographic work and from scientific research. So water likes to be free flowing. And when it's put in these pipes, they often go on very straight right angles, and they go in a feedback loop, and they're filled with like chemicals, birth control, bleach, toilet cleaners, microplastic. It's all going in this feedback loop, which is not a very positive sort of imprint. And if water's holding memory, it's holding all of those memories in it, and it's just constantly being recycled through straight pipes. And so if we're drinking that, we are drinking those memories. But not only that, water, when it moves through rivers and streams, picks up minerals and trace elements as it's moving along from the reeds and the soil and the rocks. So when we drink spring water or healthy, vibrant water that's alive and flowing as it should be in nature, we can absorb those minerals. But if we're drinking tap water, we're drinking water that's had all the minerals stripped through a chemical process to become clean. And therefore, the water's job is to obtain minerals. So when you're drinking that tap water, it's going to go through your pipes and grab your minerals, because that is its job. That's its purpose, is to obtain memories and information and minerals. And so you think about when you're drinking tap water, you're never getting those beautiful minerals that you need to be a really healthy body of water, your own healthy state. So yeah, I think I don't even know. It all relates back to being these healthy bodies. And I think when we're living in the city, perhaps we're not drinking, it all relates to that lifestyle of not being these free, wild bodies of water.
So like knowing that now, what would you give a new water apprentice, a new water candidate? What would you say? Like, I want to start my water journey. What would be the best way to, commune with or get together with, besides, of course, doing it experiential with you? What would be the best way to introduce it to my daily, thing?
I would say, honestly, to start off with your own body of water and wake up first thing in the morning before you do anything else and do positive affirmations. Be like, I am beautiful, I'm worthy, and start putting those messages in your own body of water. And then if you could, I would drink structured filtered water that's healthy, and making sure that you're not stripping your own trace minerals, and realizing that you're this beautiful, free, cosmic, alien, rebel, wild body of water that needs to feel all those things. And so if you're sitting all day inside in an office, know that your body of water also needs maybe to be a bit wild, and to, if it can't be on the earth, maybe it needs to shake or just do something to not be a stagnant body of water, because we know that stagnant bodies of water aren't as healthy as free-flowing bodies of water. Yeah, so be affirmations, drinking healthy water, and recognizing yourself as a sacred vessel and body of oceanic. We're salt water, so we're like an ocean body of water that needs to be wild. We are wild humans.
Wilding with Al, I love it. When you were talking about how the Romans were the ones that corralled this water into pipes, in my cosmology, the Romans are Anunnaki. So it makes sense that they've come here to this organic space and they're trying to rape and pillage everything to do with it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
in my course, the seer, I go through all the different ways, all the different elements to see, you know, to use as an oracle. And water, of course, is one of them. It never fails. Like, a lot of people will connect with the fire. They might connect with, you know, the earth, sort of like these as not channels, but as aspects to look into. But water, every time, you know, it's like people really get it, and they are surprised when they actually go to the essence of water, that it's wrong. It's over, you know, it's not overbearing. It's not that. It's more this strength that is not what, you know, this soft and pliable. It flows because it's carving the way. It's not, you know, fitting in. It's carving the way. But anyway, sorry, back to that oracle thing. Is yes, you can see past, present, future in the water. And it's interesting that you see future.
Oh, it's like a shiver. Feel truth bombs.
Yes, even though the future hasn't happened, it's interesting that it gives you the patterns so that you can see the past, present, and this is where the future's going, but the future's not set yet. So you can undo the magnetics of it. You can be warned, if you will, forewarned. And so you can use the water as an oracle to work with you, as an ally, to let you know, look, don't go there. Don't do this. This is the right food for you. This is the right way to intake me. This is my thing. One of the other things we do is we use the runes, or you can use a word, whatever the fuck, and put it underneath or upon the glass of water and sleep next to you.
Oh,
like, you know,
I
have
love
it.
that.
On waking, and, you know, you're getting, you know, empowerment, embodiment, whatever the fuck you want, or, you know, if you want to do it in picture, great. You know, so, you know, there's so many ways that we can make water you know how they say rewilding? Well, we're resacredizing, returning the sacred, and have an experience. Because honestly, I think that when you enter into that kind of experience, it gives you that connection with nature, and you can do it in a big city. You can do it when you're not, like, I mean, look, I do live, you know, in nature. I'm lucky. Once again, I worked for it.
You work for it. You work hard for it.
But I'll take it as luck. I'll be in appreciation. I'm in appreciation for it. But yeah, and I mean, even yesterday, you know, I had to end up going to Tweed Hospital for something. Not for me, I'm fine, people. Fuck, it's a plastic jungle, you know, and it's most of these people, they're given whatever they're given, but a good fucking drink and maybe a dark room for a couple of days to get them back to some form of normalcy. You know, it's cleaning their waters, for want of a better thing, you know, would be better. I've actually been drinking clay again because I find that the clay works with the water.
Me too. It's so good, isn't it? I wake up, I feel so good. It's amazing. It's super good.
And I mean, there's no
bed.
drama in that. Right? I think that maybe, this thing's going in and out. I think maybe, like, if you went to a foreign country, for instance, or if you went to a new place on country, you could get some of the earth and water from there, like being then a clay, and drink a little bit of it and be part of country. You know what I mean? Like, actually align with country that way.
Totally agree with you. And also
more about this spit.
I know.
I love the idea of that. That's so unique.
Constantly. And I know this is stupid, but I'll wee in the water because I think there's so much information in my liquid water that can go into. So this is going to sound a little bit strange, perhaps, or perhaps not to some people. When I was sitting in the water that time ago that I was talking about during COVID, I know this sounds really weird, but I started talking to like a druid. Like, I could feel, I'd never really connected to my ancestry, which is Celtic predominantly, and I'd never really connected to it. You know, I had a funny feelings about it, and I fully started talking to a druid in my head, and I was like spitting, and I was like, this information from my body now in COVID is going through time space in the quantum field when that doesn't really exist. And he can walk. I could see this druid in Ireland walk out of his little hut and go to the river, and in his magical shamanistic realm, he could pick up my information. And I was like, am I tripping? Is this real? But then I was like, I think this is how we can actually communicate through time, space, and quantum bend and whatnot through the water. And so I think that the spit for me is giving information to the past and the future so that we can totally quantum bend what's happening now into a different video game.
It's like a mind meld. It's like, you know, you're on country or wherever you are, you do your spit and it's like, this is me. I'm declaring me, you know,
Yeah.
me in all my glory, my good, my bad, my ugly. This is me country, you know, and in that, the connection, it's so deep. It's so much more than just, oh, it's a nice day. Well, it's pretty trees. You know, it's like you feel the soul of, you feel the essence, if you will, of it all. Now, back on this water thing, I've always had an experience of inside Moo is the water.
Mm.
And for me, when we had that drought, it was about closing the dome off and bringing the water from inside Moo, filling the dome, right? I know that you're talking about, or we were having a discussion about Dr. Lim or something. Mexico, they're doing some work because I didn't realize Mexico's really fucked. It's like dry, motherfucker. Like it's really.
Yeah. Yeah, he was saying it hasn't rained for a very long time. And when he's been doing ceremony, the rain's been starting. Well, not him. He's doing it with elders and shamans. The rain is coming. Yeah. But they're underneath Mexico is a huge aquifer. Like there's aquifers, which I don't know much about aquifers, and I'm just like, I just think to go in an aquifer would just be the most incredible experience to feel that body of water that's under the earth, that's in the earth, that's the earth's like core water.
Well, it hasn't been electrified. It hasn't been amongst all the 5Gs and the, you know, the electricity and whatever. I remember when we were studying, we were working with Drullo, and he was like, come and live in Sedona. And I said, babe, I need water because it's a desert, you know, or it looks pretty deserted. Their monsoon's about 2 inches of rain. Anyway, it was like, and he said, oh no, we've got a lot of water. It's just underneath the ground, these aquifers.
Yeah.
And we went to a gorge and there was an entrance to one of them. And the water was almost, when I say green, it wasn't green because of mold. It was because of just that pristine, it's coming from another place. You know, it was so special and it was virginal. You know, like there wasn't a lot of now stuff on it. It was like really sacred. You know, you could feel the juju, so to speak.
There would be so much information in that water. No, there'd be so much information in that water.
What are we going to do with this information? But what are we going to do with it? Because we need to heal ourselves. We need to, when I say heal the planet, Moo's got it going on. She can fucking heal herself, people. Don't worry about that. But it might mean chossing a few of us off to do it. But, you know, really, I think physician, heal thyself before you worry about the planet. You know what I mean? You do it in unison with. Because I think that both of them are in tandem. Your inside is reflected in the outside. So the more pristine, refined, in integrity you are here, the more it'll happen outside. You know, that will match. So, how are we going to take these things that we're learning? I mean, I dig the fact that they're going to make Mexico rain. You know, let's just add our juju to it. And, you know, these people with their cloud, you know how Dubai got flooded and all that shit? Like, don't tell me they're not messing with it. Don't tell me they're not trying to get in and manipulate and, you know, I mean, I don't know if it's a flat earth. I don't know any of that shit. I'm not really interested. I'm just really interested in my immediate now. You know? Yeah. And it's like we really have to go back to those ways. I think that this Pluto in Aquarius we'll all end up hooked up to a machine or we'll end up rewilded, you know, and we'll be
rewilded.
please, Atlantis reborn.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the memories I have of around the 1900s and stuff, it's not what our history is leading us to believe. We
Mm,
were quite an advanced civilization. We had a lot of shit going for us. I think
mm,
that, sorry, I've got cat action. I think that, if we just get our heads out of our ass and actually experience instead of trying to fit what happens into an experience that's already put into the matrix.
mm,
Oh, this must be that. Oh, this must be God. No, what about it's your own creative power,
mm.
right? I think that we need to start like revisiting that sort of thing where we are empowered, where we are the ones that actually know some shit and we're not giving it all away to whatever. And the other thing is, if it's on the internet, it's real, right?
I would go to the Google internet
Wowza,
of
Rooney.
go to the river. I think that's got more Google information about what's real. It's interesting, they're talking about they're talking about the glaciers melting, but in that water holds so much information as well. So within every terrible event, there's always a balance of everything, and so there will be a lot of information in that water that will come through, circulate around the world about life. So I don't think anything's ever just bad or just good. And I think water teaches us that, because when it's healthy, it doesn't judge, it observes things. It observes the actual state of things. That's, I think, what Austin's work shows us the most. And I think what ties back to what you're saying, like if it is water and we are water, like we're molecularly, I think we're like 99% water. And so if that's the case, then if our water is healthy, then the exterior world, it just changes everything. It changes everything. Yeah. Yeah. And it's very simple as well. Like, I think we can get very complex as humans, and then if we just go, oh, I'm just water, I just need to be healthy water, simple. And we know what healthy water needs. Like, we have all that intuition in us. And just to actually love ourselves enough to believe it.
Do you think that water can be cleansed in the sense of these microplastics, in the sense of these overlays? Do you think that, like people will take a smudge stick, for instance, and they'll cleanse the air element in their world using smoke, or, they might use the sprays, how the aerosols with the water. I mean, do you think that water can ever be taken back to that pristine, I'm back from the cosmos state?
Yes.
I do too.
I do. I do believe water is God, and that we are all it. Like, or not God, there's no, whatever, that isn't
The
the right
creative
word. It's the
power.
concept of it.
Yeah.
It is so almighty and powerful, and we are all it, and we can heal ourselves completely. And yeah, we are, it's kind of beyond anything, if that makes sense. Yes, I think we can. I think we can heal it. Veda's work is really interesting. She speaks about getting tap water and putting it next to spring water overnight, and the spring water changes the structure of the tap water just by sitting next to it. So, and also she does that with farmed eggs and free range eggs, and observes the patterns in the yolk and in the whites of the egg when it's in a liquid form. And so the happy egg, the free range egg, starts to change the molecular structure of the other eggs. And it's like, we are doing that to each other. So sometimes I think when I'm going into a supermarket, the best thing I can do in all the fluoro lights and all the conditions that don't feel optimal for a wild human, I think the best thing I can do is be a really radiant human, because my water body is going to, even the vapor from my air someone's going to catch it, or my essence is going to just spill out for someone else to catch. And that's really our only, like, water is grateful, and water wants to heal. Water wants to heal itself in the wild, and water wants to heal itself through humans. That's our job, and we want to be grateful, we want to be kind, and we want to do with our boundaries, but still the imprint we're leaving as water constantly moving through the world needs to be as healthy as we can, I believe.
Well, that's so inspiring. It's reminded me, because you know how Scrooge I can be, bar humbug. Fucking people.
Real love, Vicky.
Right, if they weren't here. No. You know, it's true. It's so fucking true. Just the idea of, I remember that when we were doing work with Drew and it was about clearing the water, his thing was one drop of pure water affects the one next to it. So it's like you can purify water by starting small and going out. So I think that's how homeopathics work. It's like there's such a small amount of the medicine in it, but as soon as it gets in and affects your water, that's all it needs.
Yes. It's,
you know, it doesn't need a lot.
it's so, for me, it feels so in line with that homeopathic philosophy. Exactly. It's just a tiny bit. It can even be the vapor of the air going out. Like that's enough to alter things, to get it more in balance.
Here's my COVID. No.
But sometimes I feel like
I'm inspired, babes. You've inspired me. I've got to remember. I mean, I think that, you know, when I was younger, I really was so idealistic and I really was so, you know, belief in it all. As I've aged, I've probably had a lot of that idealism knocked out of me, good and bad, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to be reminded,
But
you know, just that thing of you are a ripple effect. You are touching, like, you know, it's not just here. It's not just a screen. You are actually affecting the environment you're in, even when you're not there. So
yeah, because your breath is traveling. But I think, Vicky, as well, you've taught me through working with you, because I can be very like, oh, my, you know, I'm really empathic. So, you know, give me all your watery emotions and I can transform them and alchemize them for you. Like, you know, that boundaryless. And you've really taught me to have boundaries. Like, and now I realize, because I've got a grand water trine in my astrological makeup. So I think I'm very watery and I can really feel things from far away. And I thought that was my purpose, was just to kind of alchemize other people's emotions, because water is emotions. They're the like emotion of the planet. We are and they're everywhere. So we also have to be very careful, which is your teaching to me, is to have boundaries. And sometimes I'm like, I can feel people like over the other side of the planet. I can feel their information coming in me. And now I can say, through working with you, Vicky, because you're so amazing, I can go, no, like I actually am not in the right way to be able to deal with that. I'm not feeling like a healthy body of water right now, and I don't really want that information. Please go somewhere else or go to a wild river or ocean. I'm not going to be that for you. So you've helped me as an older woman get boundaries, because sometimes when we've got really empathic, watery personalities, we can like really invite in some energies to alchemize that aren't ours, and we don't have to do that. And that's you, Vicky, who's taught me that.
Thank you, Jolly.
So we need a bit of both.
Look, I mean, yeah, see, ripple effect, bitches. Look, we do. But I'd really love you to, you know, be able to give someone, like, you know, we should do something here where it's like they'll come along and they'll experience this connection with water through you. Yeah, I can turn them on to water. That's great. But it's more like you were saying, if we've got a few in the ripple, then that imprint will be stronger, and, you know, you can't miss. You'll fucking feel water. I feel it in my water.
Feel it in my waters. There we go. I asked water, I've asked it a few times, you know, like, what do you want? And I continually get this similar message that when it talks to me, this is what it's saying, that it wants groups of particularly women to sing in it. And I think that perhaps we've always done that. I'm not sure, but I feel like a lot of our ancestral families would have sung to water. And I think in a lot of cultures, women were the sort of like people who worked a lot with the waters.
Record holders.
The water keepers. And so I think singing to water is really, I've been singing to it lately, even if I just hum, or I think it really likes it. I think we like it, and I think the water is really grateful. That if I'm feeling like I ask the water to heal me, that's what I do in reciprocity, is sing to it often and give it a bit of spit and give it a song.
Primal raw. What are you doing? Communicating.
Lovely and wild.
Well, maybe that's what really, deep kissing is. Deep communication. I don't know.
Well, that's why we got to be
It's
careful who
but
we
yeah,
kiss and who we're with physically and sexually, because there's a lot of transfer of water going on, and so we got to be so careful there.
I can't do that communal bathing. You know, in Mullen, we've got a couple of communal bathing places. They're kind of like Roman baths. I
Oh
just think,
yeah.
just not, no offense, but I just, for an empath or for a sensitive, it's like
Mm.
on steroids. And then, they're trying to be healthy and putting, what do you call it? The chlorines and whatever the hell in there. No, just too much. If I go to the city or I'm out, like we're on tank water here. Mullumbimby has its own water supply still. They're fighting to change that, but no one here's got fluoride in the water. If I
Yeah.
go somewhere where it's got the fluoride, or I can't even. It's like I don't want to shower. That's me, the stinky one. I don't want to just. I know that you go downstairs in the hotel and they're giving you a cup of tea from that said water. I get it, but it's like I don't want to put myself in that position. I find that dirty water really is harder to get rid of than a bloody curse at times. Well, not quite, but really, it's hardcore. And I get why, clear drinking water is so important in these, how if you go to Africa or something and you're volunteering, a lot of the times it's to bring fresh water, like good water to the villages and the communities, and that is well water too. That comes up from the ground. It's rarely diverted from a river or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so your favourite body of water? We hear you like it moving. So are you a waterfall girl? Are you a sea girl, ocean girl?
Well, it depends. I worked a lot with the creek, Marram Creek, in sort of behind Lismore. At the moment, my closest water body is the ocean, and they're both different teachers and they're both different friends. And this is going to sound really funny. When I was living at near Lismore in Widjabawayable country, and I go to that creek, and sometimes I go to the ocean, and I keep the salt water on me, and I became such good friends with this creek. I would like run to it like a friend, excited just to put my body in with the information of the salt water. Like I felt like such a communion and connection with this water. It became like a very, very dear friend and a teacher. So I love the salt water at the moment. I guess that's teaching me something about, or for some reason I'm here. And we are salt water, like we are oceans in our human body. We have so much salt. Salt is so important. We're salt, memory, consciousness, and water. I think that's a lot of what's going on in us. So salt seems to be a teacher at the moment. The big, vast wildness of it, and the waves and the whales. We're so lucky where we live to have whales. But I did go. I just got a grant to. So I just got a grant to work with on water on a theatre project, and so I've been going back to my creek every day, and it was like going back to this old friend. I was just like, oh, hello. Like it's been a few months, and I was just like, yeah, and how beautiful to be in relation with the earth like that. And I just find water is a very easy access for me to get into that right connection to the earth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited for you, because it's like, I know this is the beginning, it's like,
Oh,
that's the beauty of all these things. It's like it starts off this big, and then a year later you're like this big and you're going, I can't believe I started here. And then the next year you're like this big and you're like, oh my God, or when I first started, the journey is, we forget the journey's really more than the destination. The
yes,
destination,
so
I think, keeps
true.
changing as the journey goes on. What I thought I wanted to achieve then is
Yeah.
completely, almost like, because it holds that future, it holds the potentials. If you can connect with it that way, it'll be a guide for you to unravel, bloom that potential, if you will.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Yeah.
It's
And I think with
exciting,
these,
girl.
with these solar flares, we're in a time where we can just, they call it timeline jumping. I call it slipstream jumping because I don't like the word line in time, but I think we can jump with these solar flares into different future realms that are very exciting and very positive.
I'm getting the full, So if we were to do that, would we program it before dream state? Would we program it into our glass of water and say align us with the dimension of self or the reality in which I'm healed, the reality in which I'm attracting my perfect partner, the reality in which I'm finding my purpose, making the do-re-mi with my purpose? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I've never thought of that, Vicky, because I do it lying. I do my little slipstream jumping when I wake up and go to sleep, or if I know there's been an X-class flare, I really try and sit down and I say I want to be in the highest slipstream possible, in my highest one, but I never thought to put it in water, Vicky.
allow.
Thanks,
Get on it, bitch. So you could maybe do that then, and then you drink like before you go to sleep in your glass of water. So you dream state, you wake up, and you're
put it behind you. I love that. Yep, Vicky, you are one smart woman.
I mean, I'm a big bath girl. I'm a big bath girl. I've got a bath that overlooks that. You know what I mean? So I have a bath for a couple of hours every morning. I shit you not. It's the only time I'm on the internet, really. I'm finding the socials a bit boring, except for yours, darling. But it's like you're not trying to sell me some anti-aging product. It's some dickhead on there trying to. At the moment, because it's the 7th of the 8th, the Lionsgate portal is coming on. Now, this is my pet peeve, so I'm just going to fucking let it loose.
Yes, say it. Yeah.
8th of the 8th is a Gregorian calendar date. It is made up. It is inorganic. It is from a calendar that keeps us out of the organic cosmos. If you think that a portal to Sirius opens up on that date, think again. Don't waste your fucking time.
Yeah, a really great astrologer, Tiana, did a huge thing on that and just how much money is being made from this this whole idea. Like, I love that we can make up, even if we're making up a magic day and we're being more in reverence from that. But I think if we're being conned as well into, we've got to be a little bit mindful at the moment with what we're being told. But yeah, we've got to be very careful what we're being told.
Because in the actual astronomy of it all, it hasn't even gone into Leo yet. The sun is not aligned with the Leo constellation yet. It's because of the precession of the equinoxes, etc. We move in the cosmos, right? Leo, the season, the actual alignment of the sun going into the Leo constellation is the 14th of August this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So in saying that, it's like, yes, there's a portal. Yes, there's a time when we are aligned with Sirius. Just use the 8th as the day, like your birthday. Okay, well, that was the day, we'll just celebrate on that day. But really, you're living the whole year, But it's like just what happens for me is with these dates that people, this is my 8th of the 8th, and the powers that be, that won't be for much longer, how's that? We'll harness that energy. And they're not going to use it for you, girl.
Yeah.
And that's what pisses me off. Interesting that astrologer said a lot of people are making money from it, probably a Lionsgate outing or here's a special thing you can buy for it, etc.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that.
If you really want to connect with the spiritual sun Sirius, essence to essence. Is it hard, people? You can do that any time of the year. I've said my piece. It's just that it annoys me because these supposedly, and people I respect on their spiritual journey will come out with this, the 8th of the 8th, and I'm like, are you fucking for real? And then the next thing you know, there'll be something, the 9th of the 9th is a special day. Oh, fuck off, people. Honestly.
They're all special days.
Exactly. I mean, I do a lot. You'll see on my socials, I'm often saying it's this phase of the moon or whatever. I don't worship the fucking moon, but I realise that astronomy out there is affecting this reality. So you might as well get a heads up. Combine your astronomy. How about this? you get your bowl of water, you get your printout of the current astrology, right? So the current chart, you put your bowl of water on it, and then you commune. There's a way to see your future.
And drink it. Or it's just, Vicky, wow.
Oh, only if you like the future, drink it. If you don't like the future, fucking change it. But that's the point. That's what an oracle does. It informs you so you can make change. You know what I mean? The future's not set in stone, people. Choices.
Just jump a timeline.
I'm back to that. I'm fucking into that. So you could use the water as the conduit between time. Here's the old bridge. You're programming the new bridge, or the bridge or the destination is in the new water. So you drink that, get you to the new timeline. How about that?
I love that, and bring water into a new slipstream timeline of its highest potential. Because I'm saying I want to be my highest potential timeline, slipstream, whatever we want to call it. But let's bring the water, the huge bodies of water there as well, so it's working to its optimum potential.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, because you can't this like awesome force of fabulosity, and that it doesn't need improving or anything, but we're all moving up. You know what I mean? Everything's an evolution.
Yes.
Forward.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I think I do feel very strongly, and I've had very felt senses that there is multiple parallel existences all going on at the same time. It's kind of like choose your own adventure, choose your own way you want to perceive it. And so I personally hope as many of us can as possible see the highest potential for ourselves and for the planet and for the water, because I do believe that our minds and our consciousness is more powerful than anything at making change. Yeah.
Step into it. It's one thing seeing it, but you've got to be brave.
You've got to be brave.
You've got to take that and fucking,
Yeah.
And make the change. You don't like it, change again. I mean, that's
exactly.
That
jump into another slipstream. Yes, you can change.
Like, I can't even say it. I'm loving it, but I can't say it. So that's pretty cool. So, I mean, if we wanted to do a double whammy, we could find when those big solar flares are happening. So it releases from the sun. How long does it take once we see that there's a solar flare for us to feel the effect?
Well, I feel like because I just got the app, so I get a ping, but I was feeling it before I got I still feel it without the app, but I've been using that to kind of like look at what I'm feeling.
Right.
It's often, then some people can feel it before, some really sensitive people can feel it before, real empaths can feel them really fast, and then a lot of people feel them sort of a little bit before, or I see around 2 or 3 days afterwards. I'll sit, I feel weird, I feel dizzy, I've got headaches, I feel sick, I feel spacey, I feel tired, I feel weepy. I get a lot of those sort of things from friends and people I work with. So I think around 2 or 3 days for the solar flares, and then we have these things called coronal mass ejections, which is kind of like spew from the center of the earth, and that's what when we have auroras. And I have noticed that when we have coronal mass ejections, my kids think I'm crazy when I talk about all this, but that we get a cold wind. It's like a really, we get those strange cold wind days that feel a bit like, ooh, that's coronal mass ejections. And when I get a ping saying we've had a massive coronal mass ejection, and that's often what causes the radio blackouts. I get a little ping saying there'll be a radio blackout in this area of the world, like the internet's going down, and there'll be an aurora tonight in this area of the world. And I will guarantee that in about 2 or 3 days, there'll be a cold wind. People feel unnerved and strange. And I feel personally like they're massive upgrade days. I feel like the cosmos and the sun is telling us to rest, drink water, except that we're feeling weird because we're changing. And that's a really beautiful thing that we're changing. It's not comfortable, but it's beautiful and potentially maybe necessary. Perhaps that's part of our evolution.
Well, we're taught if something's wrong, something's wrong. It's not necessarily if something's wrong, it's to realign. You know what I mean? We're taught alarm bells. So, we will look at the negative before we'll look at the positive. And I think, too, we believe that if it's going to be positive, isn't it going to feel good? not
Yeah,
necessarily.
100%. We want it to feel good, but often when good change happens, it comes through a little bit of suffering or pain can happen before to help us grow, doesn't it? The compost.
Contrast.
100%.
Contrast. I mean, I was sort of going, I was like, no, you don't need it. And then I've sort of like reassessed and thought, well, yeah, I can understand how, the pearl is made through the friction. But my thing is like, when does it stop in the sense of I appreciate challenge? Because you know what I mean? Challenge challenges me. It makes me think outside the box. It makes me move in different directions. But what I don't want or what I don't expect is to have the big brother's fucking arm on me constantly. That's not the kind of challenge I want. I want, challenge of consciousness, challenge of community, challenge of work, that sort of thing, sure. But not this challenge of what, microplastics now? What, you're going to fucking chemtrail me now? Like, it's like, come on.
It's a lot, isn't it? I think we're all feeling that. It's like, sometimes I'm just like, stop, it's enough. Like, that's enough. I can't do it anymore. Yeah.
Not for real. It's a fucking crazy matrix world, whatever the fuck. So, we're looking at the solar flares affecting the coronal mass in the center of the Earth, or Mumu, whatever we want to say.
No, they're two different. They're two different things, though, Vicky. The solar flares are like on the surface. They're kind of like massive rays of sun that you see the images. It's like the sun's just like, and then the coronal mass ejection is plasma from the center of the sun that kind of like this massive force spews it out. Yeah, so it's two different energies.
Right.
Yeah. And I feel like the solar flare, I feel a bit cosmic.
Whereas, like, I mean, one.
Yeah,
right,
so
one makes you feel a bit more cosmic, and one makes.
Yeah,
you're right.
I'll notice. I'll go to, because I'm so empathic, which is a blessing and a curse. But I'll go to the supermarket and I'll notice if there's been a big solar flare. It's almost like we all jump into a new slipstream that's quite like higher and higher. I think we're getting into like more magical realms. But when there's a coronal mass ejection is when I notice there's like crazy shit happens. Like when the big crazy stuff's often happening, there'll be a coronal mass ejection. Like this last week, we've had 72 or something M-class flares and 2 X-class flares, which generally we'd have 1 X-class flare a year or like an M-class flare a week. Like, and it's like on steroids at the moment. So that, how we just saw this big flare up on the internet lately about the Olympics. For me, that was such a direct representation of the flares, kind of like bringing something out, like, like, let's heat this up, let's bring this out, let's change, So I noticed that happens a lot. But the coronal mass ejections sometimes come with a more negative change when you're like, that's enough. Like, I can't deal with this anymore, please. And people get angry. People get. But when we get an X-class flare, I'll notice, people be like, I've got a headache, I feel really sick, I feel really shaky, I feel so spacey. People be like, my dreams are like crazy. And so with that much light comes that much of the other side. So we have to be prepared for that. And I think neutrality is a bit of the key with all this, because otherwise it's just like the more open and light I get, then the other thing comes in big time. So I've got to be that balance, yeah.
But right now, if you're struggling with what's my purpose, you can use this energy of the flares and also working with water, to reflect back to you your innermost that you can't see, sense, feel, to reflect back to you what is purpose, what is this for you, and just being prepared to hear, to listen, to hear in a different way. You know what I mean? It's not going to. Water doesn't necessarily speak English. How's that? To understand, to hear, to know, to, lock and load it and that's where you build the communication. That's where the constant doing, becomes that thing where you can drop in like that. You know what I mean? You've got to do the work.
I love that.
I mean, if the work's like, bring it. If this is what we're doing for work, bring it. So how can we... I'll put your Insta and stuff so people can follow you, because I know you do a lot of daily lives and stuff. You're so fucking braved up. And
I don't so much on. I don't have a big Insta. I sort of I got a bit like funny about socials and took everyone off Insta, but now I'm slowly like, okay, yeah. But I am on Facebook, but I yeah, I have a love hate thing with social media. Every time I post
fuck
something, I
me
have
too,
like
mate.
this complete like paranoia. It's big stuff. Don't know how
Oh,
healthy
you're
it is.
posting great. Oh, look, I know. For me, like someone like Space Cowboy, right? He's got, I think, 21 or something Guinness Book of Records. He's
Yeah,
famous and he's
yeah.
so talented. He's got like 100 followers. I mean, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? And he's world famous. It's like it doesn't equate.
No, it
But,
doesn't equate.
I keep up with what's going on with you through the socials.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my girls, I've gone off Facebook so much. I just don't get the format anymore. And one of
Mm.
my friends says, come back to Facebook with all the old white people.
Yeah, my kids are just like, we don't go on Facebook, Mum. Ask the
Oh,
young
cool.
teenagers, they're like, that's for you old people to argue with.
Grand bitch, I like the gram because it fits on my phone and, it's pictures and whatever. But as I said, at the moment, everyone's trying to sell me an anti-aging product or a Lionsgate portal product. Or, I mean, I've got a few astrologers come through because, I post for the moon and things like that. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's it's a drain. I find you become heliocentric. You go out of yourself to meet it and it dilutes you.
Yes,
And
it
so many
changes
people
your
don't,
water. Yes, yes, it
right?
does.
So, I mean, can we take the electricity out of water? Because you know how they use water to make electricity? It's like they use the water to power them. I wonder if we can take the electrical charge out. That's the next thing. Let's look at how we can change the water structure without machines.
Mm.
Mainly because if the machines go down, we need to be able to purify and do our water, without machines. So that might be the next thing we'll look into, and we'll get you back on and have a chat about how you're getting your purity on, how you're making water its most fabulous self, so to speak.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'll
beautiful.
put your social there so
Yep.
people can connect. And also, you teach drama.
Yeah, do
And
I
so,
love
you
drama.
might want to
Yep.
have an experience with Miss Sal.
Oh, if anyone wants to come and do drama, it's my other
And
great passion.
there you go. Because you said before you got a grant to work with it or something. That's kind of
With
exciting.
Yeah, I got a regional arts grant to do a project around water. So I've been doing that. It's been amazing. I'm so grateful. Yeah, yeah.
Because it makes you hone everything in. Because sometimes when you're in the research and you've got to, it's like you need something like that to be able to organize and file and give it
Yeah,
some kind of continuity, like some kind of presentation that the mind understands.
yeah.
But also you can then share it with others because you want to share it. And I'm telling you, you fucking inspired me. I'm going to be so nice when I go down to the post office today. I'm going to be so radiant when I go and pick up the pet food.
Breathe. Oh, my phone's. I think my phone's about to run out. But breathe out all your goodness, and then get on out of there and put yourself in a big bubble.
Yeah, right.
That's what I do.
Whoa, I love it. Well, thanks for
All right.
coming on, my darling.
Love you,
I
Vicky. And
love
I also want to
to catch
say,
up.
anyone in the Northern Rivers, go and see Vicky. You are such an amazing healer and woman, and you've helped me so much. And a dear friend, but I find your healings are really, really phenomenal and life changing. So go see Vicky.
You heard it here.
You had
Thanks,
it here.
darling.
Love you, Vicky.
And
Thank you so much.
love you too. See you in the next reality, babe. See you in the
See you
new
in the next
slipstream.
slipstream. See you there. Bye bye.